What if everything you think you know about this team is only half the story? Because behind every great football nation, there are moments of glory, hidden struggles, and decisions that changed history forever. And today, we are going to explore a question that millions of football fans around the world have wondered. Why is Portugal's national football team one of the most respected sides on the planet? And how did one man, Cristiano Ronaldo, transform its entire identity forever? Portugal, a small nation on the western edge of Europe. Population, just over 10 million. Yet on a football pitch, they have stood toe-to-toe with giants, Brazil, Germany, France, Argentina, and refused to blink. Population, just over 10 million. Yet on a football pitch, they have stood toe-to-toe with giants, Brazil, Germany, France, Argentina, and refused to blink. For decades, Portuguese football was admired but never truly feared. They produced extraordinary talent. They played with elegance, flair, and technical brilliance. But the ultimate prize, consistent, dominant, world-conquering success, always felt just out of reach, until the 21st century changed everything. The historical journey, from 1966 to the Golden Generation. To understand Portugal's football story, you have to go back to 1966. The FIFA World Cup in England, a team built around one extraordinary player, Eusebio da Silva Ferreira, known simply as Eusebio, the Black Panther. Eusebio finished that tournament as the top scorer, with 9 goals. Portugal reached the semi-finals for the very first time. The world took notice. Here was a nation capable of producing football royalty. But after 1966, Portugal disappeared from the main stage. They failed to qualify for multiple World Cups. The talent was there, but consistency, structure, and a system to develop it were missing. Then came the golden generation of the 1990s and early 2000s. Luis Figo, Rui Costa, Fernando Couto, João Pinto, players of genuine world class. Portugal won the FIFA World Youth Championship in 1989 and 1991, back-to-back, the clearest possible signal that something special was being built. At Euro 2000, they dazzled the world, reaching the semi-finals. At the 2006 World Cup in Germany, they finished 4th, their best World Cup result since 1966. Led by a captain at the peak of his powers, Luis Figo. But Figo was aging, and Portugal needed a new identity. What they got was something far beyond what anyone could have predicted. Cristiano Ronaldo. The moment Portugal's history changed. In 2003, a 17-year-old from the island of Madeira made his debut for the Portuguese national team. His name, Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro. In the beginning, he was electric but raw, exciting but inconsistent, flashy but not yet decisive. That changed at Euro 2004, hosted in Portugal, where a young Ronaldo announced himself to the world. But it was the years that followed where Ronaldo didn't just grow, he redefined what a Portuguese footballer could be. He became the most clinical finisher of his generation, a scorer of goals that defy belief, a leader who carried Portugal on his shoulders. The numbers are historic. Ronaldo became Portugal's all-time leading scorer by a vast margin, eventually setting the record for most international goals in men's football history. Over 130 goals for his country. But this story isn't just about statistics, it's about transformation. The trophy that changed everything, Euro 2016. For all his individual brilliance, Ronaldo carried one painful label into his 30s, the greatest player never to win a major international trophy. Then came Euro 2016 in France. Portugal were not the favorites. They drew their first 3 group games. Critics called them boring, tactically cautious. In the final against the hosts, France, Ronaldo went off injured in the first half. Tears streaming down his face, visibly devastated. Portugal had to fight without their talisman, and fight they did. Eder, a substitute striker few had bet on, scored in extra time. Portugal won 1-0. Champions of Europe for the first time in their history, Ronaldo celebrated like a man released from a decade of pressure. 3 years later, in 2019, Portugal won the inaugural UEFA Nations League, confirming this was no fluke. They were a team, a genuine force. They were a genuine force. Why Portugal succeeds. The tactical and cultural DNA. Portugal's football identity is built on technical intelligence. Their players are raised in academies, particularly Sporting CP, Benfica, and Porto, where technique, positioning, and tactical awareness come before anything else. The modern Portuguese system produces complete footballers. Players like Bernardo Silva, Bruno Fernandes, Ruben Dias, Rafael Leão, and João Cancelo are not just skilled, they are intelligent. They can adapt, they can play in multiple systems, they can lead. That is the legacy of a country that takes football development seriously, even without the financial resources of larger European nations. The current situation, a nation in transition. Ronaldo is in the final chapter of his international career. The question Portugal now faces is the one every great football nation must eventually answer. What comes next? The answer, remarkably, is promising. Portugal's current squad is one of the most talented in their history. At the 2022 World Cup, Gonçalo Ramos scored a hat-trick. The next generation is ready. Roberto Martinez now leads this squad with a clear vision, building around young stars while managing the role and legacy of Ronaldo with respect and intelligence. Portugal's story matters beyond trophies and tactics. It is the story of a small nation refusing to be defined by its size. It is the story of Eusebio, a boy from Mozambique, of Figo, who carried a generation, of Ronaldo, who elevated an entire country's self-belief. Their fanbase spans every continent. In Asia, Africa, the Americas, the green and red jersey of Portugal is one of the most recognized in global football. Conclusion: Portugal came from relative obscurity to win a European championship. They produced arguably the greatest goalscorer in football history. The legacy is real, the foundation is strong, and a new generation stands ready to write the next chapter. But the real question is, can they rise again and make history once more?